him skill issue.
You can't really like casually play Call of Duty while you do the dishes.
I feel like Phil Spencer is standing in a room just filled with rakes.
Like, oh, we had 8 million people pirate our games. That means we had 8 million lost sales.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the NerdNest podcast. It's me, it's Carrie, it's Rich. Russ is not here. And instead, we've got Will. And Will asked me, he said, hey, is Russ going to be there? Because he's a little bit skittish of Russ. And if you guys don't know why, make sure that you check out Bob's video about Emulation 101. Will, how's it going, man? What have you been up to?
Good. Not much. Just living life, I guess, as it were, working, taking care of two crazy kids. Trying to get gaming in there as much as possible. But yeah, that's been it.
Yeah, I understand that. Carrie, what's new, dude?
I just finished up my review video of the Win 5, which was like a long time coming. It took like just a week and change to do. I'm happy with the result. Also, like happy with like how I went through the benchmarks and like insofar as like visual representation, baselines, and I feel like it was well communicated. Gave people a very good understanding of what they were getting into, and more of a high level look of where we currently sit in the PC gaming market. And I commiserate with everyone. Like everyone, you know, it's an expensive thing, but yeah, I put Bazite on it, and I talked with the Bazite dev. He got TDP support working on it, which is cool. So I'm just kind of doing that and just having a good time with that right now.
I was watching Russ's video for the Legion Go 2 this morning, and he was doing comparisons with the GPD Win 5. Man, that thing is just smokes. It's so like he was getting 34 frames per second on the Legion Go 2 in a game, and he was getting 80 frames per second on the GPD Win 5, and I was like, good God, that's crazy.
Insane.
Yeah, it's intoxicating because you can just keep pushing it. And it's like you have to have the own, like it's a siren's call to just like, well, I could just push more power into it and just be rewarded. Like, oh, I'll put 10% more power, I'll get 10% gains. And it's just like, it doesn't stop until 45 watt. And then, you know, you have like an hour of battery life. So you're like, I don't really want that. So it's like, you really have to try to just be like, no, I'm just going to do 32 watt and that's it. And I know that there's better, but I'll just be happy here. I would like 85 minutes or 90 minutes of battery life and that's it. But yeah, it's like, when you get those gains, when it's just like, oh, this is at 1080p with medium settings and like super high frame rate, like this is what I think like when you use it, people are like, oh, that's what PC gaming handheld is supposed to be. And it's an awesome feeling. It really is.
Very cool. Rich, what have you been up to, dude?
So the last, I guess, day has been a good deal of Megabunk. I started with the demo, and I've just been playing that. So looking forward to talking about that with you a little bit later in the show.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to talk about Megabunk because it has friends list, and I sent Rich a message this morning. I go, I beat your high score. And then, I don't know, what was it, an hour ago? He sent me he just trounced my score.
I had to make sure, right? As soon as I couldn't wait until after the show, it had to be before the show started so I could have bragging rights. Yeah.
I feel that.
Well, yeah. And it was painful to see because I was like, it wasn't, because when I sent him a message that I beat his score, it was by like 50. And then he doubled my score. Anyway, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Most of it is about Game Pass and Microsoft's. I mean, I feel like that Phil Spencer. Yeah, Phil Spencer. I always mix up him and Phil Schiller. I feel like Phil Spencer is standing in a room just filled with rakes. And everywhere he goes, it's just boom, bam, bam, bam.
Yeah,
and if
Satya's just like putting the rakes down, Satya's like, here you
yeah,
go.
Exactly.
Deal with those.
Because they raised the price of Game Pass by 50%. If you go back to 2017, 2023, I think it was $15.
$16.99 in 2 years ago.
2 years ago. There we go.
So
yeah,
For that, it was $15.99.
That's true. And sorry, it wasn't even 2 years ago. It was 14 months ago. It was $17. So, and this is the third year in a row that Microsoft has raised Game Pass prices.
Yes. And it's like, the thing is like we've been talking about Game Pass on this podcast for quite a long time, and we've had a lot of discussions about, is it sustainable? Is it profitable? Microsoft kept saying that it was profitable, which makes me wonder why they had to raise the price to $30 a month for the more expensive version. For the audio listeners, Carrie's doing the whole money thing with his fingers. I feel like there's going to be 1,000 conversations out there just complaining about it. And I didn't want to do that. So what I wanted to do instead is talk about what should they have done instead? What would have made more sense instead of stepping on all of these rakes? So, Rich, what's one of the things that you think that Microsoft could have done instead of raising the price over a course of 3 years, 100%?
Oh, so to what end, right? Is the end more money? Is that what you're saying? Like, how could they have gotten more money other than raise the price?
Well, no, it's not that, but like, okay, so first off, we've had a lot of conversations on whether or not it's sustainable. Do you think that previous to today, it was quote unquote sustainable?
My gut feeling is no. We've had that, like Carrie and I specifically have had like that quote unquote argument a lot. My gut feeling has always been no. But at the same time, when they say it is profitable, I have to pretty much just take them at their word, right? Like they have all the data. So if they're telling us it's profitable, then okay, it's profitable. There's a chance that it was profitable. And then Black Ops 6, was it 6?
Yeah.
Was it Black Ops? Okay.
The previous Call of Duty, whatever it was.
Yeah. It's possible that the latest Call of Duty like flipped that, right? And so like there are a lot of articles out there just pointing out that 82%, I think, of Call of Duty sales were on PlayStation. So like maybe it was profitable and now it's not. There's an article on Forbes from Paul Tassi, and he says the Xbox Game Pass price hike feels diametrically opposed to a constant refrain from Microsoft that despite seemingly huge costs and foregone game sales, Game Pass is profitable. If that's true, then either this is a huge greedy grab with loyal consumers trying to squeeze them to an unprecedented degree to further margins, or Game Pass is not nearly as profitable as they're letting on. So I'm still skeptical at the end of the day. If it ever was profitable, you know, there are always funny ways to cook the books. So my thought is that no, it's not profitable, and this is the evidence of that.
Carrie, you and Rich are always quote unquote arguing about this.
Right. So there's a few things that I always feel like Microsoft is like the money people in Microsoft do bang on all cylinders, as evidenced by them being a $3 trillion company. So I just think that whenever Microsoft does anything with price increases, that they are the canary in the coal mine of general price increases trends across every industry coming. So that, you know, I mean, you know, I talked before this that, you know, the US dollar depreciated in value by 10%, you know, from year to date. So you have that. We have the actual tariff stuff that is now like cemented, and some was Jerome Powell. I'm saying that name right? From the Fed. Yeah, he said that some of these a lot of these companies are actually eating this tariff cost, and that's not going to continue. Like it won't. Especially they need to have good numbers for their holiday quarter. And I feel like, you know, January is already a down month, and you have all of these factors coming in, and largely this is a very bearish statement from me, and I've had that sentiment for a while. But that's outside of the thing. But so that's just, I think that this is just a bearish signal from Microsoft in general when we take a look at these price increases. But that is also weirdly positioned because this price increase for Ultimate, they now are basically saying that there's going to be 75 day one games, including their own, that are coming per year, which is I don't know, somewhat of an increase before of day one games that they had before. So there is obviously an investment that they need to pull from this money to facilitate that increase. To what degree, who knows? I just feel like there's a blend of all of that. And when you take a look at Game Pass price increases, I feel like there's just a lot of other underlying things there that aren't necessarily directly related to like Call of Duty or one thing other. I do think Call of Duty is in there because if you take a look at like the Essential and Premium, they don't get Call of Duty in 1 year day, whatever. That's excluded, so you don't even get Call of Duty. The other part that I want to mention is that some of the sales numbers are kind of silly, like they don't make any sense on face value because it's the old piracy problem. It's like, oh, we had 8 million people pirate our games. That means we had 8 million lost sales, and it's like,
Right.
no. I played Call of Duty day one. Would I have ever bought it ever? No, I wouldn't. So I was not a lost sale. I am just someone that played it on Game Pass because it existed on Game Pass, but I would never have bought it day one. Including me as a lost sale is 100% incorrect. But so there's that. There's all of these other factors that I feel like are coming into it. And I feel like we're just seeing this and kind of just blaming one thing in particular when that is just a small portion of what's going on. There's the last point I want to make is for, it escaped me. So I'm just going to take a step back and let someone else have the floor for a second.
Well, I have a question that I think is going to apply to everyone, right? And so, first of all, I agree with the lost sale point, and I do find that the 82% metric, the PlayStation thing, is a little more interesting than just a lost sale, right? Like there's something there that like, 80% of the sales for this game came from PlayStation versus Xbox. But really, whether or not it's profitable almost doesn't matter. It's really just to the consumer, is it worth it, right? And there was no question that it used to be worth it, at least at some point for many folks. And now, according to Paul Tassi, this is the highest media subscription or one of the highest media subscriptions out there. They added UB Connect. You mentioned more day one games. Is there a number of day one games? I assume not, that could make to you, Carrie, to you, Bill, to you, Will, the $30 a month, not PC Game Pass, $30 a month price tag worth it?
Let's start with Will. I want to hear what he has to say about that.
To make it worth it, I would have to say all of them, all day one games available, because like they did the math. It's like $360 a year. Then how many games can you buy like at full price for that money? You're not going to play like every day one game. So with $360, just buy the games you want to play day one and have that be the end of it. I understand the appeal of it, saying like one flat rate, you get all these games, but I think, I don't remember where I saw it, but I think Microsoft even themselves have admitted that like people don't play games in the same way that they like watch movies on Netflix. On Netflix, it's like $20 a month, but like you can put a movie on in the background. You can rewatch a movie over and over again. You can like try a movie for 5 minutes and then go into another one. With Game Pass, it's like they pick a game and then they'll stick with that game until they beat it. And then they move on to the next game. Like you can't really like casually play Call of Duty while you do the dishes. That's not how video gaming works, essentially. So yeah, I think especially for the ultimate price here, I just don't think it's worth it for $30 for what you're getting. It's a lot, but on the one hand, it's too much. They're just throwing things at you to make it seem like that price point is justified.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because if you look at the things that they added to it, they added things like on the Ultimate subscription, and that's the one that we're talking about the most, is the Ultimate subscription here. They added 75 plus day one games a year, which includes every single Xbox published day one games. I will say that there's a giant asterisk next to day one, because most of those games you don't actually get to play day one unless you actually buy like the deluxe version or something. They also included Ubisoft Classics, which I don't know why anybody would really care about that, but if you do, that's fine. EA Play, which was already included, and then Fortnite Crew. So, like, that's 3 things that I could not care less about. I don't want those things. I think when I asked the question earlier, what could they have done instead? I think that they should have taken that Ubisoft Plus, EA Play, and Fortnite Crew nonsense and just put that on a different tier instead of being on the main tier. Like, make a 4th tier. Can you guys still see me? My screen says that I'm not here anymore.
I see you just fine.
I see you.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. What do you guys think?
So I think that if you're going to do that, I think Microsoft knows that they wouldn't have I don't think that would be a winning subscription, and any type of thing that they can make an arrangement or agreement with all of these other publishers would kind of just fall away. I actually liked EA Play included because EA Play had some, EA Play is the thing where you do not get games day one, and their new games take like 6 months to a year to get on there, depending on how good the game is. If the game bombed, you pretty much have it in like 3 months. And if the game is like doing great, you don't get it for a year. So like the last Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jedi Survivor took a year to get on there. And then I didn't get it. I was just like, you know what? I have too much to play. I'll wait. And I still haven't actually played it, but I do like seeing it there. For Ubisoft Classics, just classics alone, like, who cares? The only thing that I would say is, like, in an Xbox, I don't like playing Ubisoft games on PC because Ubisoft just makes it crappy. They purposely make it like a crappy experience. They want you to have the Uplay Plus launcher. They want you to do all this other crap that is not Steam or whatever. They put all these speed bumps in there that on console playing Ubisoft games is such a much better experience that I only like playing Ubisoft games on console. And not for nothing, console games go down in price way better than they do on PC. But up until recently, since Ubisoft has come back to Steam, now that we're starting to see like Skull and Bones, their quadruple A game was like $4 in this sale right now. So it's like they're starting to get into like prices where if I never cared about a Ubisoft game, but I mean, you look at like Assassin's Creed or any of them, they would get like down to like $10, and it's like, okay, I'll buy that just to have it, but I'll play it on console where I prefer. So, and then Fortnite Crew is just kind of a really oddball, weird one because it is directly conflicting with Call of Duty insofar as Call of Duty is a staple game that there's people that is the only game that they play. And there's games like Fortnite or Roblox, and these are the games that people only play. So getting Fortnite in there with that Battle Pass inclusion and all that other stuff, it's feeding this monster, the free-to-play monster of it is no longer a money problem, it's a time problem. So you're just having this Game Pass Ultimate thing where like, hey, here's this thing that is better for you on Fortnite. And if Fortnite's already chewing up all of your time, Game Pass Ultimate is a terrible value. Like, it's an awful value. So I don't really get it from that point because Fortnite in and of itself is this whole microcosm of that is the game that you play. That's the platform that you play on. Like, that Fortnite is Game Pass for some people, like Roblox is. So that one makes no sense to me whatsoever. So I feel like putting that into its own thing, no one would buy it, and then it would just dissolve and be nothingness altogether. Having it included makes no sense to me whatsoever. But whatever, like, it's there. I like my kids play Fortnite every now and again, and I don't buy skins or anything, but now I'm going to have, V-Bucks and crap that I'm going to have every month, so I might as well use them. Hopefully I can like give them to my kids because I don't want them. So yeah, I don't know. That's how I feel about the current packaging. I just don't think that it would work.
I think also going back to your initial question, Bill, what could they have done, right? Interestingly, there is a thread on Resetera that popped up earlier today. So in an alternate reality in which Xbox didn't go all in on Game Pass and instead heavily invested in console exclusives, where would they be today? I like the idea of an alternate timeline. I see you shaking your head, Carrie, but here's my thought, right? Is I'm not thinking about like Xbox Series, and I'm not thinking about necessarily like late Xbox One, but from like they had so much momentum, not just from 360 but also the late 360 with Connect, right? There was just so much momentum there. And what I've noticed about Microsoft is that they're a lot like, who is it? Apple. They don't care about gaming. They have acted like they care about gaming, but Microsoft, not Xbox, they've hired people that care about gaming, like Phil Spencer, right. But Microsoft doesn't care about gaming. They don't truly invest, right? Like they acquire, but they don't invest. Like it's not like over a period of time, we're going to invest into people that make really great games. And instead they, just do layoffs in the 4 digits every 6 months, right? Right. And so that's where I think they went wrong. Like similarly, right? Like in just thinking about investing, there's no reason after 360, given Microsoft went with Skype, Teams, what are the communicator? They have so many like messaging apps. There's no reason they couldn't have had Discord before Discord was Discord, and
right.
And they could have bought Discord before it became what it is now. So like they had all of this opportunity, and they didn't care. That's how I see it.
I think they just like to the Microsoft Azure cloud services. That's what they care about, because
that's what they care about.
Like it doesn't require marketing, which I think they're very bad at marketing. If you look at Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo, I think that Microsoft is the ones that are the worst at marketing and trying to convince people that their products are good. Yeah. But when it comes to Azure, that's like B2B solutions. So
I would say
they don't have to convince anyone.
360 generation, they were amazing though. 360 generation, their marketing, like you had Gears of War. What was the song that they played?
Mad World.
Mad World, yeah. That was a fantastic trailer. The Halo 3 trailer was sick. The ARG that they had for Halo 3, they were banging on all cylinders when it was the core Xbox group that made Xbox, when they actually cared about gaming. And then the suits came in after they saw that it was cool and making money. And they were like, how can we ruin this? Oh, I know. We'll be in charge.
So do you attribute their great times to Peter Moore and who was the OG Xbox guy?
So yeah, Robbie Bach.
James Blackley was the designer.
Blackley. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was thinking of, is it Allard?
Jay Allard.
Jay Allard.
The blazered with the hoodie.
Yes. Yeah.
That was Hero Protagonist as his Xbox handle. So yeah, they were that crew, Robbie Bach, all of those guys, and then especially Peter Moore. Peter Moore as the CEO had the gaming DNA in him to lead it in like the best way forward. And when they switched over to the EA guy, Don Matrick, yeah. When they switched over to him, that's when it all went to, like a hell in a handbasket real quick. And then that's where you had. I am confident. I have there's no actual thing here. It's just like me with a whole like bunch of like, crazy pins on the wall and I'm all crazy. Is that you look at 2013 and just before it is you had Matrick and a gathering of CEOs that were in a meeting or whatnot. And then you had the guy at AT&T just like ping, 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 ping. Guys, I want you to let you know that AT&T, we have internet and cell phone, but we're going to get into TV. We're going to buy DirecTV. And Don Matrick's like, TV, that's what we have to have in the Xbox One. Let's put TV in there. And it was like, what? You had AT&T buy DirecTV. It has since cratered AT&T. They used to be number 2. Now they're like a number 4 when there's only 3 providers. It's absolutely insane. Like when everyone was cutting the cord, they were going to introduce TV for some reason. It was like the most... I don't know. They were not paying attention, didn't have their pulse on anything. And Microsoft was there saying TV as well. I can't hear you, Bill.
Right. I was saying, I know why they did that. Sorry, I muted myself so I could cough. They did that because subscriptions. They said, hey, if your TV comes in through our box, then we can get you to pay us a subscription for it. Like they were ahead of the subscription game. ahead of it. I think
it was that entire thing, they had a pivot into a different place. You could see that all the original Xbox people weren't there. They only had people in suits talking about the TV capabilities of the Xbox One when no one cared about that. Everyone was asking what was going on. They were doing that whole DRM situation well in advance before it needed to take place. And then PlayStation, who was on the back foot, had to like step up, which is like they basically just pivoted on everything that Microsoft was stumbling on. You want to talk about rakes that were being stepped on? The Xbox One was one of the biggest rakes they could have stepped on ever. And PlayStation with the PlayStation 4 managed to go back to like Sony's roots of what they needed to do and what they needed to hit on. And then since that day, they have been on the back foot. And to the point that I was going to tell you, Rich, is that it doesn't matter what Microsoft was going to do, because I had already left Microsoft in 2010 and I owned an Xbox One and I owned a PS4, but I largely just played on PC. I just kind of have them because that's, I'm a gamer, so I buy those consoles. And if anything comes up, I'll get them. I was buying PS4 games because they would get discounted to like $20 within 3 months. And that's no longer the case. With PS5 games, Demon Souls is $30 today on Amazon sales. And that's like not even a deal. The game is, 6 years old, 5 years old? And it's still like not down to $10 or $20. And I'm not going to pay $30 for it. So the entire... I don't think that Microsoft could have done anything insofar as making the best game in the world, making it exclusive to console, would have done anything because, frankly, no one cared. Everyone moved over to PlayStation and Nintendo, and the sales show that. Game Pass is quite literally the only reason that I play any amount of Xbox titles as it is. The only game that I would have played and bought an Xbox for is Halo, and that's it. Just like the only game I really have on PS5 is Astrobot, and before that, God of War for PS4. So
I find that interesting too, because like it just seems so hard to really nail down like what it could have been. I mean, clearly, right? Like any alternate timeline stuff, but they don't, like, ever since 360, they just don't, they're not known for, like, whether exclusive or not, for being like prestige, right? And like Sony really dove deep into being prestige. Nintendo, just by virtue of being Nintendo, has been able to keep that reputation of having prestige games. And Microsoft, like, despite the roster of IP that they have, just hasn't been able to do that. And I feel like I feel like there's something there, right? Like if they could have managed that roster better, and the Grim Reaper meme for EA and Microsoft, and that I just keep coming back to that, right? It's just they're they don't care about what they have.
That's absolutely true.
Other than just the name, right? Like they want to have the name, not the talent, not the spirit, just the name.
I think the biggest one that is like the biggest black eye for the Xbox division is, so even with under Peter Moore, they were doing it under like Robbie Bach, they technically still mishandled Bungie and they mishandled Halo.
Oh yeah.
Because even though Bungie was like there and present, Bungie wanted to just get away from Microsoft because Microsoft was just being this oppressive force where they're like, no, you have to do this. You have to get it out now. And then Ed Freeze is like the only reason that Halo 2 got bumped out another year. He was like, no, these guys need more time. And he had to take it on the chin. And no one liked that. And, you look at all the stuff that they did, but what other, you have PlayStation, who still to this day does not have a single defining IP that personifies their console. You have Nintendo, you have Mario, you have Zelda, Metroid, Donkey Kong. They have it in spades. Microsoft, day one comes in and be like, hey, here's Master Chief. And everyone's like, that is amazing. That is Xbox. Xbox is Master Chief. And PlayStation was like, what? You can't just walk in here and just do this. And then Microsoft just successfully mismanages that into the ground so far. And then they're like, hey, let's make a TV show. And they're like, hey, can we just do whatever we want here? Oh yeah, just go nuts. Make it whatever you want it. We don't give a shit. And it's like, yeah.
Imagine pushing that studio away and they go on to make Destiny. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by not caring about
They agreed.
yeah, the talent, right? Like they just
Agreed.
care about the name.
And that is the core problem that Microsoft has, is that the money people have this ultimate say over a lot of things. You can see all the things that, Phil Spencer's taken on the chin for a lot of these decisions, but you have no idea what type of like stuff he has to juggle and whatever metrics he has to hit internally. They're like, okay, you can do this, but here's your things. And if you don't have this, this is going to happen. And he's just like, okay, like here's what I got to do. Let me go do my dance. And there's only so much you can do. And when the money people are going to say, hey, where's the money? Unfortunately, truly creative games, the things that like make like really great stuff, are not a money thing. That's just not what it is. And you can't, so they don't care about social capital. We've talked about this before. They don't give a crap about that. They only care about how much money they make and how much money they're worth. And as a result, it's like all of this stuff has just been crunched away from them. A lot of people give Todd Howard crap, for everything. It's like, oh, every previous generation of whatever they made was better. So it's like, nothing as good as Morrowind. Then Oblivion comes out, like, that's crap. 5 years go along and Skyrim comes out, and like, Oblivion was amazing. And then Skyrim is like out for a while and they're like, oh, that was good. And Starfield got crapped on, but now people are starting to say Starfield is good. For what it's worth, Todd Howard has been like the one honor guard for us all, just like holding it up and just saying, no, we have to do this the right way. You look at Fallout TV series, and that has been a gigantic success. And I don't say that Todd Howard deserves all the credit, but I do think that Todd Howard deserves some credit for being there and making sure all these things line up. And now they have the ghoul in Fallout 76. And it's like, there you go. Like, it's not hard, guys. It's really not hard. And I feel like you just need those people. And if you don't have those people, you got nothing.
Will, jump in here.
I just didn't want to interrupt anybody. I'm not used
I know
to this.
he kept thinking. He kept going like I saw him reach for his microphone. Like
I'm not used to this like very like formal discussion where everybody like takes their time and gives everyone the floor. I'm used to the Wolf Den podcast every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/wolfden, where this is just me and my brother yelling at each other over each other. So no,
which I love.
There's some valid points. I do think at the end of the day, though, like we want to, we can blame the top of Microsoft all we want, and they do deserve a lot of the blame here. But like Phil Spencer's been the leader of Xbox for like almost 15 years now. He's had the entire Xbox One generation to figure something out, and he still hasn't. Like, I'm thinking the Xbox One generation, what were their first party games? There was one Halo that nobody liked. There were the two Gears games. There was Forza, but there was no Fable. There was nothing from Rare of note, at least. They had to go out and buy all those studios to try and build up their first party portfolio, but those studios didn't really produce anything until the Xbox Series generation. And I think it was somewhere in the middle of that era where they're like Game Pass, Netflix of gaming. And like, it took a long time for the concept of Game Pass to like really, become a thing in like people's mind. Because what they were selling it as, the Netflix of gaming versus like what it was, which is like you sell it to download it to the console. It was only like a selection of games. One day it'll be available on PC. Like it wasn't clear what they were trying to do. They were selling the product before they actually had the product to sell. So, maybe things could have been different with Xbox Series if they launched it with Halo Infinite, like if they waited until Halo Infinite was done to put that out. But, I do think they're doing better with their first party exclusives this generation, but those exclusives come to PlayStation and PC and Switch on the same day. So, there goes that idea.
So you bring up a good point, is that so that's actually one of the last remaining points I want to bring up, and I'll end with that. I will say that they did have a few good games, at least initially on Xbox One, but it didn't really matter all that much. They had Killer Instinct, they had Rise, they had Dead Rising. So it actually had a solid launch lineup, but
Dead Rising like 4, I guess.
Dead Rising 4, yeah.
Yeah.
They had a solid launch lineup, but it was more expensive, included a Kinect that no one cared about, and was less performant than the PS4. It was effectively the opposite of what their strategy was for the 360. It was the exact opposite. So it was at that moment, especially with all of the other stuff that they had going on, which was really cloudy, the TV stuff, the DRM fiasco that they had, all of that stuff that you had really put them on the back foot, which wasn't great. The one bit that I'll say that reminded me, Will, what you had said was the Game Pass for PC. One of the things that we said, and one of the reasons for the price increase as well, that I believe, is that Game Pass you could have for $1, right? They could have that $1 promo, and they were very much into that growth phase of just getting people into it. And I feel like that is one of the other components of that price increase, is that they're no longer in growth. They looked at all of the numbers and they said, we aren't growth anymore. We are now just what it is. And that's why this price increase has to happen, as well as all of the other things that are going on.
As well as increasing the price of the consoles by like however much, over the course of 2 years, by delaying the announcement of the price of their handhelds until the very last second because they knew it was going to be too expensive. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a business guy, but I feel like there were a lot of ways to get out of distant third that didn't involve jacking up the prices of everything around you.
Yeah, I feel like, Carrie, you made some really good points when you talked about like what they fumbled prior to the series generation. And then they said, okay, well, people aren't buying our stuff, so we're going to buy all these studios. So they went around and they bought all these studios. And the studios didn't have anything to ship right then, which is fine. Games take a long time to make. But then while they waited for these companies that they had purchased to ship the games that they had made, they got too impatient. And finally, at this point, I feel like this year we've had a lot of really good games on Microsoft, or on that Microsoft released, like a lot of really good games. Yeah. And then they're like, well, I think it's time for us to cut bait and get out of here because it didn't work. And I'm like, it was about to work. Yeah. It was going to work. If you had just waited just a little bit longer, it would have worked. But as Carrie said, the money guys decided, well, our stockholders are going to be mad if we don't see growth every single quarter. Yeah. So let's axe everybody. Let's shut it all down. And now I almost feel like they're pulling the rug out from underneath everything that they've built. And I feel like they've got this Jenga tower where they've done a really good job, and all they have left are just the middle pieces of the Jenga tower. And then they're like, screw it. And they're kicking it over because it didn't work fast enough for them. Yeah. And I'm like, that just shows such a myopic view of how the gaming industry works, which tells me that the wrong people are making the decisions. I know, Will, you said that we've been waiting for Phil Spencer to do the right thing. I don't know if it's him or if it's his hands are tied by, the higher ups. You know what I mean?
I guess, but I feel like if this was any other situation, like if the guy in charge is not performing, like they would have been let go a while ago. And somehow he's like moved up in the ranks. Like he was head of Xbox. Then now he's like VP of all gaming, which is different from being the head of Xbox. So
right, Sarah Bond is now the head of
Sarah
Xbox,
Bond is the head of Xbox. But I think there's someone in between Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer, I think. So they keep adding to the hierarchy of gaming at Microsoft and just cutting out the bottom people.
So that's one of the things that I truly hate about every industry. And this is they just hire C-suite people that have been in C-suite positions from other things. You had Ed Harrison, who just basically destroyed the Fable series during the Xbox One generation. Mm-hmm. He was in charge of it in 2013. Then they were going to make it a live service game. So he was a 4-player Fable game. And it turned out that his overseeing, he basically destroyed Lionhead Studios. They had nothing to show for it. And he was like, okay, guys, my job is done. I'm going to go over to Stadia now. And it was all right, great job, guy. You just destroyed a whole studio and have nothing to show for it.
You want to talk about a video game product, built up by the C-suite.
Yeah.
Yep. The Stadia.
They ran that right into the ground, and they did the same exact thing. like what was the game? Cyberpunk 2077 launched. Abysmal launch. Everybody was mad at CD Projekt Red for launching that game. The only place that it played well was on Google Stadia. And they're finally getting some good press. Like people are like, wow, this is actually pretty damn good. And then they're like, yeah, we're shutting it down. I'm like, what? You couldn't wait a couple more months to see what would happen? It's just crazy to me.
Yeah. And that's like, you look at that like as the overall kind of recurring theme that's going on. I look at so right now there's a lot of things that are going on. Apparently the series production has ended. I think that's another thing, that rumor that just sprinkled up saying that Microsoft's not even going to do the next generation of hardware, and so many people are buying it lock, stock, and barrel just from like someone just saying it. And you look back at all the other things that Microsoft has said and then gone back on, that now any rumor is just like, oh, I probably believe this, because if Microsoft Xbox denies this, I can't even believe them, because they have pivoted on their own things. Like you had like only 4 games and all the other stuff that they're going to have. And now they're just like from all outwards appearances, just a third party publisher. I still think.
Well, let me ask you a question real quick. Do you think that they're going to ship hardware?
Yes.
Okay. Rich, do you think they're going to ship hardware?
Can we define hardware?
Sure.
I know that sounds ridiculous, but
no, it doesn't sound ridiculous. Okay. We'll say that it is it's hard because, okay, do you think that they're going to ship a box made by Microsoft that gets hooked up to your TV and you play games without having to jump through any hoops?
Well, we already decided, even if it is quote unquote console hardware, it's going to be able to play Steam. So I can't say that. I think it's going to be PC, I guess, is what I'm right. Like, I think it's going to be a PC.
But you still think they will?
Yes, I think it's possible that it gets, co-branded, like the ROG Xbox Ally X is co-branded. I think they will. I think it will look more like a PC than a PlayStation 6. Right. So like, and that comes with its own problems, right? Like it comes with its own benefits, but it comes with its own problems. And I think one of those problems will be price, right? Like I don't think the price will look like a PS6.
You think it's going to be an expensive piece of hardware?
Yeah.
What do you think, Will? Do you think that Microsoft is exiting hardware?
I don't think they're exiting hardware, because like they still make hardware. They make, Surface laptops and PCs. Like they're still a hardware company in certain respects. I think it's going to be less of a focus for them. And the focus for the Xbox brand is definitely going to be services and game publication and whatnot. In terms of what the next Xbox is going to be, I don't think it's going to be a traditional console anymore. I think it's going to be, like previously said, closer to that of a PC. But then to me, that calls into question the legacy of, the previous Xbox consoles, because they've done a very good job of, having backwards compatibility from one to the next. But like, I talked about this on the Wolfden podcast every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/Wolfden, youtube.com/Wolfden podcast. The ROG Ally that's coming out, I can't play my 360 games on there, even though it's labeled an Xbox. So like that, there's still questions like that they need to answer and address before, anyone even considers another Microsoft branded device, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing people are going to be like, there's going to be people who like, that don't understand that.
Yeah.
They're going to go out, they're going to buy it, and then they're going to be like, I have Gears of War from the Xbox 360. I bought it digitally. I'm going to play it on my new handheld. Oh, wait, I'm not. Rich?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, aside from like the rumors that Carrie is alluding to, they do also just face other problems when it comes to hardware and whether or not they'll release one, right? So like even if they do release one, their retail relationships reportedly have been getting worse, like significantly worse in just the last few weeks, right?
Was it Costco?
Costco doesn't sell them anymore.
Yeah, there was Costco. Yeah. There was a retail and store in Spain that apparently they're not selling them anymore. I know it's a relatively small market, but these things are piling up, right? And so, are they interested in repairing those relationships, or are they more likely just going to sell them at like limited places? Like you may be able to get them at Best Buy, like in ROG Xbox Ally X. And they don't care that it's not selling tens of millions of units. That's not what they're going to do anymore, right? So like, and that compounds the problem that you're talking about, Bill, right? Like if it's not selling that many units, now I'm not just worried about like backwards compatibility. Now I'm also thinking about like my ecosystem, right? Like I'm sure that their ecosystem has already been obliterated, but if you happen to still have an Xbox ecosystem of friends that are on, the Xbox Live, well, that's going to be even more just gone, right?
Yeah, so the thing that I kind of push back on that is that there's still a significant percentage of people that use Game Pass on console. So to just say, hey, you're going to PC now, they're going to be like, hey, I'm going to go to PlayStation now. And then they're no longer Game Pass subscribers. And now your Game Pass subscriptions start going down. And you cannot on PC pay for online. No one's going to do that. Like they tried in the Xbox Live for Windows, failed miserably. They're not going to do that again because it's just going to be like, well, on Steam, I get all this for free. And Steam's already awesome. So why would I even bother with that? So console is still the last place where paying for online is still this acceptable thing. So I don't see them stopping console at all because that is a significant chunk of money that they're just going to have to, there's going to be losses, an incalculable amount of losses that they're going to incur by stopping, Xbox Silicon. And further, the rumor that was started makes little sense to me unless there's like a heavy pivot afoot, because they say that they're just going to go to the cloud. And that makes no sense to me because if they're just going to go to the cloud, what is in the cloud right now is Xbox Series hardware. It's not anything else. So they are going to make silicon for the next generation of cloud hardware. And that cloud hardware that was on the Xbox Series is all the same stuff for the console. So why would you spend all this money and capital making this custom thing that is only in the cloud when you already spent the money? Like, it makes no sense to just say, we're just in the cloud. We're not going to make a console. And we're also going to lose a bunch of Game Pass subscribers. I don't see it. It doesn't make any sense unless you full pivot to like, what? Everything's just going to go to Azure. We don't have this custom Xbox hardware anymore. We are only buying NVIDIA hardware, so your games are going to look even better. We have their encoders. All this stuff is going to be way better. And when you guys aren't playing games, we're going to be doing machine learning and AI like there's no tomorrow. And
which is exactly what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, so that is the only thing that would make sense is that, but you're in a situation where all of the stuff either has to have a heavy lift and shift over, where all of our stuff on Xbox suddenly works somehow, some way on a Windows PC so that you can play Xbox 360 games, so you can play games that don't have Play Anywhere. And there's a lot of legalese and a lot of contracts that I'm sure don't work that way. So how they're going to arrange that, I don't know.
I don't think they have to worry about that because they've already demonstrated that they don't give a shit what we think.
Oh,
like they only care about what the stockholders think. So at some point, if they do that shift, that lift and shift that you're talking about moving over to the cloud, they just say, this is how you play. They said it at the end of their little video with that lady, and it wasn't Sarah Bond, it wasn't Phil Spencer, it wasn't anybody else. It was some lady we never seen before. And at the very end of the video, this is how we game now. That is their new thing. They're shifting over to the cloud because all of the things that you just said. They can repurpose their hardware and do this other stuff when you're not playing on it. And there's a subscription to it. So you just subscribe and then you can play Game Pass. Game Pass is the new platform, and the new platform is unfortunately on the cloud.
But I myself see subscriptions going away, like a tremendous amount of people. I don't think people I still think that they're still going to have a lot of people that remain Xbox Ultimate subscribers, even at the $30 increase. if you go and transition to a console-less thing, I don't see those same people retaining their subscription unless they're already PC users. And there is that's a significant chunk that they are now fully aware of that they're going to lose. And it's however many billions of dollars. So it could be that the price increase is also including this mindset of, man, we're going to lose a ton of subscribers. We're going to have to juice whoever's remaining for even more. So there's a whole bunch of things that are you have to be cognizant of all this. My only problem is that every which way that I look, I don't see Xbox console prices as they are. Again, I said before, every time that Xbox raised their price, a few months later, PlayStation increased their price. And you're not going to see, the Switch 2 at $450, I think caught everyone by surprise. They did not think that it was going to be $450. But they're also using Samsung's 8 nanometer node. They're not even using expensive nodes yet. So you haven't even begun to see how expensive Nintendo hardware will be. And if you think about a PlayStation 6 on N3 nodes, which are astronomical in price, a PlayStation 6 is going to be the same price as a PS5 Pro. So you're going to say launch day, you're going to be like, $700 or $800. I didn't see that coming. And that is
but there's no competition.
Sure, it isn't, but I don't think people are going to be like, well, there's no competition. I'm just going to pay this money because everyone seems to have a problem with $30 a month for Game Pass Ultimate. So if we're all just getting boiled together as frogs, where this new understanding of how expensive everything is, I think that Microsoft is taking it on the chin. And as a year or two goes in the future, once we start getting all of the PC gaming handhelds that are $1,000, $1,200, that is not a new thing. The Steam Deck 2 is going to be $700. It's not going to be $400.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, no matter which way you look at this, prices are increasing across the board everywhere in the future. So
let me ask the whole panel a question. Is $30 overpriced? Because I was listening to Skill Up, and he said, and I this is when I made my video, I was just kind of ranting, kind of like Carrie is. I was just ranting, and I didn't really think about it. And then somebody asked me a question in the comments. They said, well, okay, Bill, but do you think GeForce Now is overpriced? And I thought, well, I never actually said that Xbox Game Pass is overpriced. I just said that it was more expensive and I wasn't happy about it. And I don't know if I think it's overpriced because you are getting 75 games a year. Earlier, Will said it was what was the price per year, Will, that you said?
$360.
Yeah, $360.
Xbox 360 is back.
Yeah.
$360 per year. How many games is that? It's about 5.5 games. And you could play 5.5 games in a year easily, and then some.
But you could own them.
So you could, but you could also play a bunch of other stuff too. 5.5 games or 75 games. Is it overpriced? Will, I'm going to have you start us off.
I mean, 5.5 highly curated games, so you're only picking, the games that you actually want to play versus 75 games and 90% of those games are crap. Mm-hmm. I mean, personally, I would take my chances and just buying the games I would want. I'm looking at what's included in it, and I don't know. I guess 75 games is a good deal. Fortnite Crew on its own is $12 a month. I
think EA is $10 a month. Ubisoft Classic is $8 a month, I think.
Yeah. But those are older games that are genuinely on sale for $5 on other platforms. Mm-hmm. I'm all about playing old games, but how many people are actually going back and playing Assassin's Creed Unity or whatever on the regular, I don't paying for multiplayer, I think, is getting out of hand. That should have ended a long time ago. Cloud gaming at their best quality, what does that even mean?
So of all the ones I've tried, they're the worst.
They actually have gotten better, but just recently. You should double check on it as of late. It is
I
not
can't. I
as
unsubscribed.
oh well then you have to wait for the free ad supported tier to. Oh, wait, it's probably gonna be crap on that one too. So that's
I know
Yeah.
the one time I had a trial for Game Pass. It was like a week trial, and Black Ops 6 ran surprisingly really well, but Indiana Jones ran poorly, and that was a game I actually bought. So I, just turned off my iPad and went downstairs to boot up my Xbox and played it off the SSD the way God intended. So, yeah.
I love that.
Rich, is
Yeah.
it overpriced?
I feel like we've already. So, Bill, you unsubscribed.
Yes.
Does that say it's overpriced?
No, because this is really I don't know if I can form this argument in real time without sitting and writing it down, but I'm going to do my best.
Mm-hmm.
For $30 a month, I get access to a lot of freaking games.
You got it.
Or I did. I don't, because I unsubscribed. I had access to a lot of freaking games. In reality, I just wasn't using it. I was playing the games that I was buying on Steam anyway. And when you combine that with the fact that I also subscribe to Netflix and I also subscribe to Disney Plus and Apple TV and all of these other things, I was like, well, they're not competing for dollars. As Carrie said earlier, they are competing for time. And Game Pass wasn't getting my time. So I decided to unsubscribe because $30, well, to be honest, I unsubscribed a couple of days before this actually happened, right? Just because I was like, I'm not really using it. So I don't think it's overpriced, but when you think about the fact that because you are getting a lot, but when you think about all the other expenses that people have, it just makes it kind of painful. And when you combine that with the fact that 3 price increases in 3 years, doubling the price in less than 4 years, it just makes me think, well, how long before it's going to be how long before it's going to be $40 a month? How long before it's going to be $50 a month? Carrie just mentioned the ad. Yeah, he's looking at his watch. Carrie just mentioned the ad supported tier that Xbox is teasing. How long before those ads are in the paid tier too? Because my wife and I have been rewatching Downton Abbey, and there's freaking ads in Amazon Prime, and we paid for the non-ad tier. It's going to happen. Rich?
Yeah. So I'm going to be reductive and say what I heard is it's overpriced. Right? Like, that's what it's not worth it to you. Even before the increase of $30, it wasn't worth it to you to stay subscribed. Same for me. It hasn't been worth it to me. There are people for whom it's worth. For them, it's not overpriced. That number clearly is getting smaller. I don't think it's just getting smaller, right? Like, I think it's getting a lot smaller over the course of the last week. I think Will earlier said it would take basically every game to be available on day one for the $30 price tag to be worth it. There's still PC Game Pass, which, that is still going to be a good deal for many people. But for the $30 price tag, I think a lot of people would feel similar. It would take every game being available on day one for $30 a month to be a reasonable price. So I don't know what GeForce Now is. I think you're right. I think how long before ads? I think that's coming. And again, this is how I felt prior, right? Is that even if it was a good deal, that deal, its days are numbered, right? And this goes back to was it sustainable conversation? I don't know. I'll just say I think its days were numbered, and its days are numbered. It's gone. Go for it, Will.
I was just thinking, like, in terms of like overpriced. So I recently switched from Spotify to Apple Music for my music streaming. I was paying, before I canceled it, $12 a month for Spotify, because they were raising their prices. I was getting fed up with like the music selection and the limits that they put on that price tier for your account. Apple Music, I'm paying $17 a month for the family plan. But for me, that $5 extra is worth it because now my wife has her own account, and it doesn't mess with my algorithm. My kids now have their own accounts, so it doesn't recommend me, Disney soundtracks all the time. The sound quality is better, and I really like this feature. The iTunes match, where like band demos I've had since like high school just like appear on my phone, like even though they're not in the iTunes store. So like that to me, like, yes, it costs more, but that to me is worth the extra value. Like the all those things are like worth the $5 extra to me. So in that sense, I don't think I'm overpaying for music, but I'm seeing like tangible benefits to it over, what I'm seeing Microsoft offering with their different tiers of Game Pass.
So just to get from my point of view, I do think it is expensive, and I don't like if people, you really do have to factor in your time. And I think you should do that with every subscription service that you have. But I think about this largely across everything that, again, this is more of a bearish statement for me, just looking at everything going on right now. And I think that, I've said this before, to handle things accordingly, buckle up. For me, what sucks is that I was getting Game Pass Ultimate exclusively through Bing Rewards. And they stopped that September 30th or September 31st, whatever it was, just before October. So I cashed in whatever I could just to like up. And to give you an idea of how much worse it is, it was 12,000 Bing Rewards points for 1 month of Game Pass Ultimate. And now that they no longer do that, I have to buy Xbox credit to pay for it. And that is 30,000 points. So it's like a 3x increase. It's at this point that effectively I will be at I will not be able to continue keeping up like I was previously. Like I had a surplus of points that I was able to just infinitely keep on using Game Pass Ultimate for effectively nothing. And now it's going to get to a point that as this 3-year mark gets up, I have to see how much Bing Rewards points I can actually build up, but it's going to be at a deficit and I will be like at a slow decline. And who knows how much Game Pass Ultimate's going to be by the time that 3 years rolls around. It's going to be like, you have to pay $70 a month. And it's just like, I don't know. Like we have no, like things are weird and crazy right now, and whatever the value of the US dollar goes to, things are going to have to change. And I don't know that all of these things are going to, like, especially rewards points, are going to modulate correctly. So I don't know. I commiserate with everyone, and everything's hard for everyone. So I wouldn't say that anyone should get it. At $30 a month is basically you have to know that you're going to use it. And I have, like, since last October, like you had said earlier, Bill, if Microsoft just like they finally, after years, have finally gotten to the point where the master plan was paying off. They had like Indiana Jones, Call of Duty, they had Starfield, they had
Doom the Dark Ages.
Doom the Dark Ages, like
So good.
the Blueprints, Oblivion Remastered, like month after month after month after month, they were having something like a big tentpole title, and it was like, wow, these guys finally do it. And they're like, hey, we're going third party everywhere. Xbox doesn't exist anymore. It's like, good grief, guys, what are you doing? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. A lot of things don't really make much sense to me, but everything that they've said in the past, it does seem like the money people are bearish themselves and like stocking up. They're waiting for the long hibernation. And that's how I perceive Microsoft right now. And like, I agree with you, Bill. I think that this first ad-supported tier that's free only, people are going to be like, oh, it's free only. But that's going to start coming in.
It already has.
I
saw a tweet from this person, Natalia. Anyway.
That's a splash screen. On Xbox,
they're putting ads in the splash screen.
They've been doing that. They've been doing that for years now. I know one person that complains about it like every time. He takes a picture of his like living room PC. He's like, why are they showing me ads? And I'm like, it's a video game. Like if you like when I open it, I always have Steam open, but anytime I have to close Steam and open it up, it's like, here's like 5 new games, and I just exit out. And like I don't consider that an advertisement. It's just
for what it's worth, you can turn that off.
It was something else.
Steam one.
Yeah, you can turn off the thing on Steam. It was literally they were showing them a video. Like it started playing a video during the little stupid thing where you start your Xbox thing and this rocket flies across
Oh, on xCloud, they already
On
got it.
xCloud, they were showing a video ad for, I don't remember, like Tide or something. I can't remember.
I totally think that is going to happen. But yeah, what I would like to ask you guys is, do you like? I don't think Nintendo will do it. I think Nintendo will stand on business and be like, no, we still believe in games and stuff, and we still have like physical stuff. But I don't see PlayStation like hanging around, just seeing them making extra money on top. And PlayStation, we could put ads on this thing. And I feel like after some time, there's going to be some PlayStation thing that like, we have like most of the market share, and we could be.
Do you remember in the 90s when you were watching TV and on the bottom, you're watching a show, and in the bottom of the show, like characters from some other freaking show would pop up and they'd be like, oh, look at you. Hey, how's it going? They wouldn't you wouldn't hear anything, but then it would say Thursdays at 8:00 or whatever. You remember that?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to get. We're going to get that on top of our games all the time.
Who's the company that has the patent where you have to stand up and scream McDonald's and sit back down?
I think that might be Sony. I think that's Sony.
Yeah, it's
Probably,
Sony.
yeah.
I
hope
don't
that's
know
all
anything
like
about that.
ad-based cloud streaming is, just a little cryon at the bottom of the screen, because I'm picturing a dystopia where you get the video at the start like you do like for Hulu or whatever, but then like you're in the middle of a game and you're in a really good match and you're about to lay the killing blow, and then cut to commercial, and then the commercial's over, you cut back to your game, you've died, restart, quit to title screen or whatever. Like that's what I'm picturing. Because like
it's real bad if you're doing a one of those things where you die, that permadeath game.
Yeah. Because like I'll get a little insider baseball here. Like my first job out of college was working for video distribution, and part of the job was actually marking in the TV show where Hulu was to put the ads, because they were the only streaming service doing ad-based stuff. So like you tell them where you think the ads should go, and like they would, like Hulu would generate the ads and pop them up in the middle of your show. So like I'm imagining a timeline where Ubisoft is like gonna release
There's an
Assassin's
API.
Creed San Francisco or whatever, and they're like, all right, right before you beat up this tech guy, put the ad right there and
gonna
just
be
bring
so
up the whole flow.
He like Assassin's Creed, he's gonna be like, Schlink. We have a word from our and he's like,
Yeah.
and he like goes there and like back to it to like stab someone, like,
Yeah.
oh my god, they stopped right between a cutscene. I'm being
Master Chief just goes, I need a weapon
yeah.
after our sponsors.
Yeah.
He walks over to the little console and he brings up Amazon and starts searching for the gun.
Oh no!
He takes off the helmet. He's like, hi, I'm Steve Downs, the voice of Master Chief. And when I need a refreshing drink, I reach for.
It's gonna be awful.
Oh dear!
It's gonna be so bad.
It's on its way, my friends. It's on its way. And with the AI slop, they can do it.
I remember back when we would complain, like in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games, like the later PlayStation 2 era Tony Hawk games, where like you would skate up to a McDonald's and like, every skateboard was a different brand, and like people would complain like there's too much advertising in this game. Like I would die for that to be the standard, where you just see billboards and like t-shirts in game rather than like actual legit commercials.
If it fits in the world, I have zero problem with it. I loved that I had to drive people to Pizza Hut in Crazy Taxi. That was cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
I needed Tower Records.
Tasteful product placement is just okay and fine. It's like if it fits into the world, then no big deal.
Or even like there was one of the Splinter Cell games, like, and the ship you were like sneaking around. There was an ad for the Boondocks on Adult Swim, like as posters of like the crewmen's posters and stuff. I'll take that. That's fun.
Yeah. If it's in world, it doesn't bother me because it's ignorable and it just makes it seem more realistic.
Yeah.
If I'm playing, I don't play sports games, but if I'm playing Madden and they popped up a little thing on the bottom, like they do when you're watching TV, that wouldn't bother me. Like it really wouldn't. But if I'm playing, I don't know, Fable, well, then it breaks the immersion and ruins it.
Yeah.
There are limits to that though, because like, did you see the NBA 2K thing where Jake from State Farm is a character in the game and like he talks to you about State Farm?
No,
Not see this. That's
I
amazing.
swear to God, This is not like, you know, them trying to replicate a basketball game where it cuts to commercial and there's a State Farm commercial. No, Jake from State Farm is a character in the game. You talk to him about State Farm.
So like the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater
crazy.
5, you're skating around as Jake from State Farm, and he's like, "Boy, I got over this ollie just like I did when I had to bring insurance to somebody."
I will say that before the product placement thing, I actually like there are some things that I actually appreciate it more than if it was just some bogus thing. Like even for like a Blade Runner 1982 film, like you see a big Coca-Cola like Times Square thing, and that felt correct. Like, oh yeah, that makes me like, it didn't take me out. I'm like, oh yeah, I totally believe that. If it was like,
what about Demolition Man?
Where they had Taco Bell and all the other stuff, that was like the joke and stuff. And I was totally fine with it, but like it would take me out more if in Blade Runner it was like Blitz Cola, and I'm like, Blitz Cola, like why would you just, you know what I mean? Like that would take me out more, having it just be some rando thing that didn't pertain to anything, than just having this dystopian future where there's a giganto, blazing display where they already have Times Square. It's already believable. So I don't know. There's like certain times where product placement actually feels like the correct choice to do. Even if, I know people are going to have there's a difference, right? It's all about how they approach it. If they're like over the top messaging, right. I'm so tired. Good thing I have some Gatorade, and like look into the camera when they say it, like, oh, come on. Just don't break the fourth wall. The
website pops up on the bottom of the the QR code pops up. Make sure you order some Gatorade today. All right, let's talk about some video games instead of complaining about Xbox some more. We've all been playing some video games. Rich and I have been playing this game that I absolutely have to talk about. It is so freaking good. You know how I found out about it? I got a PR email about it saying, "Hey, this game," and I didn't respond to it. I ended up buying it anyway because I thought it was really cool. I don't know if they were offering a code or if it was just like, "Hey, here's our game." And I saw it and I was scrolling through my email and I was like, "Oh, that looks kind of cool." It's a Vampire Survivors like, where you just move a character around. You kill enemies, and as you kill those enemies, you get XP, and then you get power-ups that are randomized in this randomized world, and you keep going until you die, essentially. And it's called Mega Bonk, and when I saw it, I was out and about. So then when I got in the car, I said, "Remind me when I get home." I said it to my phone, "Remind me when I get home to find Mega Bonk." And it kept screwing it up, but I figured, okay, I'll just when I see it, I'll remember what the hell it was. So I got home, I installed it, and guys, I got to tell you, this game is freaking great. Rich, you've been playing it too. What do you think about this game? And you said it was your favorite of this genre.
Yes.
Maybe.
So no, so far it definitely is. And to be fair to the genre, I am not like I'm not super big on the genre. I played. Yeah,
Rich,
go ahead.
Can I interrupt you one quick second?
Go for it.
I want from you, keep that thought in your mind. I want to hear directly from you, what is this genre called?
Oh, I call them survivors likes. What should it be called? What do you call them?
I don't know. I think Survivor's Like is like an easy way to communicate to people what it can, but I've heard like roguelike bullet hell, horde
I have heard them called like roguelike bullet hell. I don't like that. I don't
I don't like it either.
Jumbled.
Yeah.
I think the closest thing would be a bullet hell, but that's like different styles,
Yeah. No, I like survivors like so far. If someone comes up with something better, I'm all for it. But yeah, I would say this one's my favorite. And the reason, to me, again, I don't dabble in all of them, but I've tried a lot of them. And this one to me solves a lot of the biggest problems where like, you just feel like you're just moving around, whatever, especially in the first few minutes, the difficulty doesn't ramp up. But in this game, there are difficulty totems. There are just ways to like up the difficulty immediately, which also increases like your XP and stuff like that. So like, I love that. There are also like the different ways you can play. it's really varied. Like it's really versatile. Like you can play as the second character. There are two characters unlocked from the beginning. The second one is like really just stand and fight, right? So like I got to a point where I had a build where that complemented his playstyle, and I was just AFK for a little bit, right? Like I could just stand there, and he would like campfire to build up health. He had another power up to like build up damage, and he would just fight the hordes that were coming towards him. But then there's another build right after that one that you unlock called Calcium, I think, where
I have him too. He's great.
Okay. Yes. So like where he has a skateboard, he's a skeleton riding a skateboard, and the longer that you don't get damage, the more that your movement speed increases. So like the goal there is to just get the heck out of Dodge as quickly as possible and build around that. So
can I jump in real quick on that? So I was playing as Calcium, and I started getting abilities that would base my damage off of how much speed I had.
yes.
And so like I just kept you're flying along. I just kept building more and more speed, and I had a tome that transferred all of my speed percentages over to damage boosts. And I was just ollieing over these hordes of enemies and then just laying waste. And I think I had the area of effect one. In Vampire Survivors, it's the garlic, but I had like the garlic like, I guess is what I would call that.
Chunkers.
No, not the chunkers. I had that one on a different run, but it's just like a bubble around you, like a circle around you where they just get damaged for being in.
Oh, it's the aura.
Yeah.
Aura, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was so good.
I like that.
Yeah.
I haven't played this game yet, so you guys are just saying weird words. Oh, the chunkers? Oh yeah. Oh, the chunkers.
Yeah. So this game leans so far into like meme stuff, and like, for many people that's going to be super cringe. And that's fine.
When you die, it says he dead. Might be a skill issue.
Yeah, and it's like him skill issue. Like it's not.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So it's super dumb. But even if you find that cringe, the game itself is really good. You mentioned, I think, at the top, Carrie, or maybe before we start recording, like the extra dimension, right? Or the perspective, but like, being 3D certainly adds to it a bit. Like enemies will pile on top of each other.
Right.
So like now you have a horde that like is, 3 stories tall, that's chasing you, but also you can jump and you can double jump and you can do more than that, right? Like, and you have like traits that can increase your jump height or duration or speed. So like there's just a lot of versatility to the gameplay.
And there's like hills and stuff. So like you can go up a hill, and then you get this big chunk of enemies to follow you up the hill, and then you just keep taking them out as you're going up the hill. But if they come after you too much, you could there's no fall damage, or at least I don't think there's fall damage. At least it's not enough to kill you.
Yeah, there is fall damage, but it's forgiving. It's forgiving.
It's very forgiving. So you just jump off and, find an empty spot and then just go off to another place. But I was like running around, like I would kill the boss, and I'm like, now what do I do? And apparently you're supposed to find a portal, but you can't find the portal if you're playing on like the lowest tier.
Yes.
And I was just fighting. I was banging my head against this over and over and over because I had this one character. He's like a robot with a gun, and his name is Clank with a 4 instead of an A, and it says, I don't know how to pronounce this. But if you teleport out of the first level with Clank, it unlocks the second level. And I was like, okay, well, that's what I want to do. I want to unlock the second level. I can't beat Rich, so I'm going to try and do something else. So I'm going to try and unlock the second level. And I just kept fighting. The game doesn't teach you this. It doesn't tell you that. It wasn't until Rich sent me a message and was like, by the way, you can't get out of the first level unless you are on like the tier 2. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And just classic roguelike, right? Where like you're not going to learn the game just through playing the game alone. You're going to need to like look at guides and stuff like that for some of that stuff. But yeah, then I made it to the second. Once I switched to tier 2, which you have to unlock tier 2, and I don't know. I don't quite know how I unlocked it, other than maybe just staying alive
Killing
long
the
enough.
boss?
I think you have to kill the boss and live long enough during the final swarm, maybe.
Okay.
But
I will say that when you are fighting the boss, there are things that, like you mentioned earlier, Rich, this difficulty totems that like increase the difficulty by like 5% or something. But there's other things, other objects that you can use, like called a boss curse. And at one point, I had 4 bosses chasing me around the level, and I was like, "Oh shit,
dear Lord,
it's bad." I thought I was going to die. Well, I did die, but
I was going to say, you lived through that?
no, I did not live through that.
Yeah, I haven't made it past more than 2 bosses at once, and it gets tough when it's just 2. I did make it to the end of the second stage, and I was so close to beating the boss, but I was already at the final swarm. And they took me out. So after this, I'll play again.
Me too. Will, do you like the Vampire Survivors style games?
I think I tried Vampire Survivors when it came on phone, but like I didn't understand it. I didn't understand that like there was no buttons. You just move the guy around. So I need to like get back into it because it seems like something I could, have fun with for a little bit, just mindlessly moving him around. But yeah, the first time I played it, I actually didn't really know what I was doing.
And that's the kind of thing with this is you have to like think, you have to build your character as you go.
Yeah.
And if you're just picking random shit, you're going to die pretty quick.
Yeah. Because I assumed it was like, an old school twin stick shooter where you just move him around and you control when he fires. I didn't realize he fires on his own.
What were you going to say, Rich?
I was going to say, and this has a little more interactivity. So I mentioned the jump. Bill, you were talking about going uphill, but if you go downhill, there's a button to slide, and you go really fast when you're sliding. So there's that. And there are things that you can unlock, so with the X button, so you can like break pots to grab coins, buy chests, things like that. So there's a little more like thinking about what I'm going to do, at least again, in my experience with these sort of games. I played Vampire Survivors, Hollow Cure, a little bit of Halls of Torment. So I have a little bit of experience, but not. They
also have like a quest system. So you can go through and complete quests like kill 1,000 skeletons, and then you get some silver for killing those skeletons. And they have another system on top where you have like challenges. So you can, and have you tried any of the challenges, Rich, where there's like a speed run challenge where you got to kill all the bosses in 6 minutes?
I looked at them and I'm like, no, I can't do this. One of them is like you die as soon as you get touched. I'm like, no, can't do that.
Yeah. That one's crazy. I don't know how anybody would do that. All right. Will, what have you been playing, man?
So I have mostly been playing Mortal Kombat 1 because I like the Mortal Kombat games. I'm not like a fighting game like expert or aficionado. Like if I were to fight any of you guys, you'd all like just beat my ass handedly. I like the simple one-on-one, like it's there's like a relaxing thing to it. You like a quick pick up and play thing to it. And I like Mortal Kombat because I actually do think they have a really good story campaign, even though the stories are generally bad. This one is cool because like it's doing different things with its narrative, and it's actually shockingly very well directed. Like the cutscenes are incredibly well thought out and shot and choreographed, and like the facial animation is unbelievable. The moment to moment gameplay, it's a little clunkier than previous Mortal Kombat games, which is surprising because it's supposed to be the latest and greatest, but doesn't play as well as like even I'm playing it on Steam Deck, and Mortal Kombat 11 on Switch felt a little bit more fluid than this one does. So that I've been playing that. I've been playing Unpacking a lot because my daughter really likes playing Unpacking. She just likes telling me where everything goes, and opening the boxes and stuff.
It's an adorable game.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I played it before on my own, and she saw me playing one time, and now she just asks to play it before I drop her off at school. So if we do that, I'm trying to play Ghost of Tsushima on PS5 before Yotai comes out. I know I'm not going to finish it before Yotai comes out, so
It's
that's
already
just so I haven't finished it. So, but yeah, the main games I've been playing is Mortal Kombat 1 and Unpacking. I'm dedicated to beating Mortal Kombat 1 and then playing Resident Evil Village because I want to beat that before I play Resident Evil Requiem.
Well, are you looking forward to Legacy Collection, Mortal Kombat?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna pick it up or anything, but like I used to love those games as a kid, and I think having a good arcade perfect collection is like long overdue for Mortal Kombat.
What's the one that came out on PS2 that was like an adventure game or RPG?
Shaolin Monk.
Sub-Zero. Oh, wait.
Well, no, there was Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero for PlayStation 1 and 64. And then on PS2, it was Shaolin Monks, which is like a brawler type adventure game.
Don't they have what's Conquest? Am I thinking of something else with a K?
That was a TV show starring Kristana Loken. I like Mortal Kombat.
That's awesome.
Speaking, I mean, are you hyped for the movie, the new movie?
I'm more hyped than I was because the last one was just okay, and then I saw the trailer for the new one, and it reminds me a lot of like the Sonic movies, where like the first one was whatever, but then the second one was everything the first movie should have been. So it looks like Mortal Kombat's doing the exact same thing.
I really like the direction they're going with Johnny Cage's character.
Yeah.
Like, making like the trailer that they made where they made the trailers of all of his movies.
Yeah.
And they're like these cheesy action movies. I think that looks just freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Carrie, you been playing anything?
Yeah, so after the Win 5 thing, I picked back up Silksong, made a little bit more progress. I finally got to the Citadel. Just so I have an idea of where I am. So I just passed the Citadel and I took a little bit of a break because I think I'm actually going to go over to Indiana Jones to play the DLC, the Giant.
Order of the Giants, yeah.
Order of the Giants, yeah. So
yeah, I gotta do that too.
Yeah, so
me too, because that game was awesome.
Yeah, that I loved Indiana Jones. Like, I feel like Indiana Jones, they could have paced it just a little bit better because, like, the first two levels, especially like Cairo, you're like, oh, okay. It felt like an adventure game, like a modern adventure game to me, with like just how they paced everything. And then the third and fourth levels was like, oh, you like stuff from like Uncharted, right? You like that big cinematic stuff. Here's like just a bunch of action, awesome stuff. And that whole segment like made me like reinvigorated to play through the next Shanghai part of it. In any event, I loved the Indiana Jones game, and I feel like as an Indiana Jones story, it's probably one of the best Indiana Jones stories. Like the ending, I was not anticipating, and it follows that same type of, like the Last Crusade, Raiders of the Lost Ark. They have that biblical type of idea, but what if that was real? And I loved Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I think as like I would have watched that as a movie, like that. It was so good. So now I've reinstalled that and I want to play through the DLC. And I think I might do that before going back to Silksong. So that's where I am currently.
I think you just convinced me to reinstall it because I finished it and I had a blast with it, but I'm going to have to buy the DLC because I don't have Game Pass anymore, but that's okay. I'll be fine. Especially because Carrie bought me Indiana Jones for Christmas last year because I made the mistake of buying him a present, and so he got retaliatory and started buying a bunch of stuff.
Hope you learned your lesson.
Yeah, I did learn my lesson. Buy more stuff for Carrie because I get free games. Clover Pit sold a whole bunch of units. I think it's up to half a million at this point.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And this is the slot machine Balatro-like. I guess that's a genre now. So I guess we're going to call it, Rich, you're the Balatro guy. Is that what we're going to call this genre?
I think we have to.
But isn't Balatro just a roguelike?
So
it was already a like of something.
Is it just a roguelike? So, well, is it a deck builder roguelike? So that was a genre, right? Like it's a subgenre deck builder roguelike. So the difference between a normal deck builder and Balatro is, I'm trying to hone in on it, is that like it's more solitaire, right? So like deck builders are usually like I'm playing against someone, whereas this is like I'm trying to get a high score. So it's a subgenre is I think a Balatro like.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
So let me set it up for people who are unfamiliar with Clover Pit. I have to keep looking over at my notes because I always want to call it Clover Field. But Clover Pit, you are trapped in a room, very PS1 era graphics, but you're trapped in this room with a slot machine, an ATM, a set of shelves that constantly update and give you new items that you can put over next to your slot machine that will give you power-ups, kind of like the Jokers in Balatro. And so you play around, you put in some money into the slot machine, and you play 7 rounds or 3. It depends on what you want to do. You pull that one-armed bandit a few times, and then you get your money at the end. And then you have to deposit that money into the ATM, because if you don't deposit the money, a certain amount of money in enough time, the floor opens up and you fall to your death. And that's the gameplay loop. So basically what happens is you start the round, you put some money in, you get it out, you deposit some money if you want. Money comes out of the ATM. If you pick it up, then the money's called interest. If you don't pick it up, it's called interest, and you can use that as a mechanic to make more money later. But if you need it, then you can pick it up so you can deposit it so that you don't die. Every time you meet a certain threshold, there's a new threshold, and somebody will call you and offer you things that improve your ability to win. So you can say like, okay, I'm going to empower clovers, for example. And now every time a clover comes up, it's a golden clover, and you get a little bit more from that. So it's just this really fun gameplay loop. And when I first hit it, I thought, okay, I'm just hitting one button over and over and over. It goes, let's go gambling. And you push the A button and he pulls the thing. And it just felt like there was nothing really, there wasn't a game to it. But then after probably 2 or 3 rounds, it started to click. I don't know if it's fully clicked with me yet. Like, kind of like Balatro never fully clicked with me like it did with Rich. And Rich was like, this is how it works. I'm at the point now where, for those of you who watched the show for a long time, when Carrie first started playing Balatro, 15 seconds into it, he was like, I get this now. That's where I am. I get this now, but I don't think I really do. I just think I might get this. And I really want to play more of it. It's really, really good. And so between Clover Pit and Megabonk, which also has like PS1 era graphics, I'm loving what I'm playing. What are you giggling about, Carrie?
Just the names. Just
Clover Pit,
Megabonk. Like,
Clover Pit, Megabonk.
it sounds like we would be in like a movie that was talking about nonsensical games that don't exist. Like, what are you playing? I'm playing Clover Pit and Megabonk.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I'm going to punch up the graphics on level 7.
just nonsense words. That's what it just sounded like. That's all.
Did anybody else get a chance to try out Clover Pit yet?
No, I've seen videos on it.
Same. I bought it, but I also bought like 8 other games. So I haven't
because
got
it's
to
a
it.
Steam sale right now.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll get to it. I'll say today or tomorrow, but I need to Megabonk first.
You do need to Megabonk first. If I had to pick one of the two that I like more, Megabonk is the one that I like more. But Megabonk doesn't require as much from me, if that makes sense. Like Clover Pit, I'm still like trying to figure out if I buy this hot pepper and I combine it with this cat and put it on my shelf, then when the clovers or when the cherries pop up, I'll get this many extra coins. Like I have to really think about that. And there is some thought in Megabonk, but mostly it's just run away and you're fine. You know what I mean? You're at least
Very
fine
fair.
for a little bit until it catches up with you. All right. Anybody play anything else that we want to talk about? Okay. The team did get access to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, and we are going to talk about that at some point.
I'll be ready next
But
week.
I still haven't played it very much because I don't think I like it very much.
Ooh, I want to hear about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on a future episode because we're already an hour and a half in. But Will,
Yes.
I think people might wonder where they can find your show.
So as previously mentioned, I am the co-host of the Wolf Den, a podcast with my brother Bob, the famous one. You can check that show out Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. on twitch.tv/wolfden or youtube.com/wolfden podcast, or the next day on any and every audio podcast service.
And he's not wrong. It is him and his brother yelling at each other a lot. And that's like my favorite part is when you guys are disagreeing. And I'm like, okay, this is fun.
Yeah. It's I was supposed to have like Sunday dinner with him and our parents, so it's just going to be like a warm up for Tuesday.
Perfect. Awesome.
Fun times.
Yeah.
Rich, what are you working on, man?
Not much right now. I am almost done with the housework. And again, I'm not doing any of it. It just takes up mental capacity. So hopefully after that, I'll be working on something.
Cool.
Hopefully
And then
soon
Carrie-
we're all working on something.
Oh, right. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten any tracking information yet.
Same.
They said it's coming, but
Yeah.
I
Same
don't know
here.
anything about it. So, Carrie, you just finished your big video about the GPD Win 5. And now you've got a lot of work to do. What's next?
I think along with you guys waiting, but the immediate future, I have Bazite on the Win 5. So I'll just be going over that. There's some, once again, you have some really easy wins on Bazite, and who knows if Microsoft is ever going to wake up and actually care. Probably not. And we'll see where they, the eventuality of how Linux comes along. It's really interesting. As a side conversation that we should be having is that we've saw 2 different instances of Steam Deck compiled games that are not using Proton. With
Baldur's Gate 3
and Chronos.
Oh, right.
Chronos was the other one.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so there is now precedent for companies to just say, hey, there's a lot of people playing on Steam Deck, and right now it's a Steam Deck only build. So it's like you're playing games that are optimized very, very specifically for the Steam Deck, even though they already played very well with Proton. But now we're in an area where devs are actually making games for Steam Deck builds. And if there's not alarm bells and klaxons going off, then whatever, who cares? I suppose they're not going to go away. They're still going to have their legacy stuff. They're still going to have big business paying for them, but they're letting Valve just do nothing. like, oh, we're just doing here. And
Does nothing wins.
Yeah. How does it keep getting away with it?
Yeah. Yeah. So tune in next week. That's going to be a topic that I think that we should expand on quite a bit, is whether or not these companies will do Linux ports or just rely on Proton moving forward. That's really interesting. Make sure that you head on over to youtube.com/thefox and youtube.com/retrogamecore, because he's got a video about the Lenovo Legion Go 2, if Russ were here today, and Lenovo, not Lenovo.com, youtube.com/fanthedeck, and youtube.com/ is it just Wolf Den Podcast?
Yeah, Wolf Den Podcast.
Wolf Den Podcast.
Wolf Den will send you to Bob's channel directly.
And we don't want to do that. He's got enough
No,
subscribers.
he's fine.
Screw that guy. All right. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you next time. Stay rad, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye. See you guys.
Bye.